But remember, discipline, discipline, discipline. You've got to be keeping that log. You've got to be keeping track. You've got to say no to the calories that don't fit within your caloric budget. Hey everybody, this is John Shoemate and this is liveanabolic.com. This is the place for guys over 50 and 60 years old who want to get fit. Today, we're going to talk about how do you get down to a low level of body fat. Specifically, we're going to talk about how do you get down in the neighborhood of 8% body fat, which is a really low level of body fat. This is what's going to allow your muscles to show through. It's going to give you more of a ripped type of look. So guys, I'm 61 years old. I've been a fitness nut my entire life. I've been a personal trainer. I know how to get you down to a low level of body fat. In fact, right now, I'm probably somewhere in the vicinity of 8% body fat myself. All right, guys. So before we get into this much deeper, let's talk about something important. Losing body fat, going for more of a ripped look is something you need to do after you have built up lean muscle mass. So if you haven't started into your workout regimen yet, you maybe ought to just turn off this video and go to some of the workout videos on this site and go ahead and get started on building up your muscle mass. If you don't do that to begin with, then when you lose body fat, you're just going to look skinny. In fact, a lot of people, even who have a lot of muscle mass, once they get down into the single digits of body fat, they look in the mirror and they feel like that they have lost muscle mass. They feel like they look kind of skinny anyway. So you want to make sure that you build up that muscle mass so you got something to show when you lose all that body fat and you can get that more ripped look. Secondly, it's really important from a metabolic standpoint because lean muscle mass burns more calorie at rest. That's right. If you are built up, if you've developed your muscle mass, if you have added lean muscle mass, you're going to burn more calories just sitting there. And that makes it just that much easier. It's that much less calorie cutting that you have to do, and it's that much less HIIT cardio and other types of intense exercise that you have to do overall. So before you get started, if you want to get down, if you've got a goal, say like 8% body fat, what's the first thing you need to know? You need to know where you're at right now. So there's a lot of ways to do that. A lot of stores, even like at Walmart, you can get the handheld body fat calculators. Now these are pretty accurate, but not always accurate. The most accurate kind of body fat check you can do are with calipers. To do that, you want to go into your gym, you can go into a physical therapist, and they can figure that out for you. So once you know that baseline, you know what your target body fat loss is going to be. Now here's the real key when we talk about counting calories. The magic number is 500 calories per day. That is the deficit that you have to go into in order to lose 1 pound of body fat a week. It's really simple. 3,500 calories a week is going to equal 1 pound of body fat. Scientifically proven, and that's what you want to shoot for. So again, how do you know how much you need to lose? There are a lot of great body fat and body composition calculators out there, and you just go do a simple Google search and they're all over the place. They're really simple. You simply plug in your age, your weight, other specifics, and it will tell you how many pounds of body fat you need to get to the level of leanness that you want to achieve. And these calculators will tell you how many weeks you're going to need at a 3,500 calorie weekly deficit in order to get to the body fat level that you're going to want to achieve. So that's step one. Establish where you are right now from a body fat standpoint and how long it's going to take you losing 1 pound of body fat a week to get to where it is that you want to go. All right, so here's the next part, and this is where it gets tricky. This is probably the hardest part of being in shape, the hardest part of getting lean. You've got to understand how many calories per day that you are taking in right now. That means you're going to have to keep a log of everything that you eat every single day. Again, lots of calculators out there online. It's easy to find charts and tables that tell you things like potatoes and steaks and chicken based on the weight that you're eating and how many calories are in that. Be honest with yourself. If you're not honest with yourself, this just won't work. Okay, now that you've established a baseline for how many calories per day you are taking in, it's simple math. You've got to knock out 500 calories per day. And that's what you have to live by. And that's where the discipline comes from. You've got to want that goal. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to make it happen. So you want to take those calories more evenly across your different food groups. So protein, you want to cut back on that just slightly. Carbohydrates, you'll want to cut back on that just a little bit more. And fats, you'll want to cut back on those as well. If you've got sugar in your diet, get it out and get it out now. And that doesn't matter if you're trying to lose body fat or not. The single best thing you can do for your health is eliminate sugar from your diet. And that's a challenge. Sugar is pervasive. It's everywhere. Every time you shop, every time you pick up a package, you've got to look at that ingredient label. You've got to look for sugar. And if it's got sugar in it, don't buy it. Okay, so let's talk for a second about your macronutrient blend. Macronutrients, easy to put them in just those three categories: proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. There's a lot of different schools of thought about that, and I'm not going to, in this video, go into all those different details and all the different arguments about what groups you should cut from. My recommendation is that you cut equally across them. You'll hear some people that say, nah, just cut carbs. Other people will say, just cut fats. The important thing to know is that all three groups your body has got to have. So you don't want to cut out too much of one of them. And if we're going to 8% body fat, that's really nothing radical. So it's more important to cut calories than trying to worry too much about how you balance your macronutrients and if you're going to cut one more than the other. Just cut them all evenly, get down to your 500 calorie deficit, and go for as many weeks as the calculator tells you you need to go to get down to your body fat level. Now know this. Everybody has got slightly different metabolisms, and you may set all this up perfectly, but you may either go faster than what you were scheduled or you may go slower than what you were scheduled. You're gonna have to watch, you're gonna have to adapt. You're gonna have to be measuring your body fat every single week and make sure that you are making progress towards your goal. If you're not, you may have to make adjustments on the fly. But remember, discipline, discipline, discipline. You've got to be keeping that log. You've got to be keeping track. You've got to say no to the calories that don't fit within your caloric budget. So guys, I want to talk to you about something that's really important about cutting. And this is something you really need to be aware of because it's something that can get you in a little bit of trouble. So it's entirely possible you can get what's called metabolic damage if you cut for too long and you keep your calories too low for too long. So to explain that simply, it just means that your body's metabolism will over time start to adjust to the calories that you're taking in. So if you stay in a calorie deficit for too long, then your body will think that it's starving to death and it will start to slow down. This creates a cycle where it becomes harder and harder for you to lose body fat because your metabolism is slowing down. So it's something that you want to cycle on and off of, just depending on what your personal goals are. So just know, before you do any type of a cut and try and reduce your body fat, first you want to build your calories up and you want to get your metabolism up at a really good rate. Then you can go into your caloric deficit. You can bring your body fat down to where you want it to be. But this is important, especially when you get to single digits. You don't want to stay there for an extended period of time, maybe a few weeks. Then you want to bring it back up again. There's a lot of good reading out on the internet. There's a guy, Dr. Lane Norton, he's kind of a pioneer on this. He's written some great stuff about it. I strongly advise, before you start trying to cut down into single digits, that you go out and read up on metabolic damage, understand what it is, and make sure that you don't do that to yourself. Okay guys, so we talked about the importance of, before you start into this, that you built up lean muscle mass. Again, if you haven't done that yet, don't try and cut down to 8% body fat. You're just gonna look skinny. Get in the gym, build up your muscle mass, build up your metabolism, and then you can start to cut. It's gonna work out a lot better that way. So there's one more important dimension to that as well, and that's what we call HIIT cardio. HIIT is an acronym. It stands for high intensity interval training. And it's really simple. It simply means you bring your heart rate up and you bring your breathing rate up for a short period of time, and then you let it back down. So what I want you to do to start out is you're simply going to go for 15 seconds on, and then you're going to take 60 seconds rest, and you're going to do that 10 times, and it's going to take you less than 15 minutes. If you do that 4 or 5 times a week, it's going to greatly boost your metabolism overall. So there's a lot of detail that can go into that, and we're not going to do that in this video as far as how high you get your heart rate up. There's ways you can advance where you're doing longer periods of intervals, longer and shorter periods of rest, a lot of ways to mix that up. That's something we can get into for a different video. But there's a lot of simple exercises that you can do right in your home to achieve your HIIT cardio. Jump roping is one. Again, if you have got a treadmill, you can get on the treadmill. You can do simple things like cycling as well too. You can jog in place. And the important thing is you do it as intensely as you can for 15 seconds. You'll feel out of breath, you'll feel your heart rate come up, have your watch on or watch your clock on the wall, rest for 60 seconds. As soon as that is up, do your 15 seconds of high intensity training again. And again, cycle that on and off for 10 times. You're going to find that that greatly boosts your metabolism. It does a lot more good than if you do steady state type of cardio. I won't go into the science, but know that it is backed up by science. It's going to boost your metabolism more. You're going to burn more calories after you're done with that than if you're doing some type of steady state long-term cardio. So guys, there you have it. If you like this video, click the thumbs up button to subscribe and make sure that you don't miss any more videos for guys 50 and 60 years old and how to get fit. And remember, obstacles are what you see when you lose sight of your goal. Stay focused. See you next time.